Welcome to KF&JF podcast. I'm so excited today to have you guys here. I thank you all the time, man, for going to the Joy Be Love and making those purchases to help us lift up these businesses that are out here supporting us. You know, today we're here at Destination Smokehouse. I tell you, it's one of the beautiful places here in Marietta, and they have a design that's set up. I mean, if you come in here, you will be so comfortable to enjoy what they do here. We're here with Nick and Walt, man. I tell you, we're gonna have a good conversation on the entrepreneurial experience. What does it take to run a business? What does it take to uplift the community and have them join you in it? Nick, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, first off, thank you for having us for this. It's really a big part of what we do. We built up from a coffee shop to a smokehouse and never had any intention to grow like this, but through the process, we've learned a lot of what it takes to run a business, the ups and downs, how you grow it. So this is perfect for us. We're just blessed that you came here to meet with us and so we could tell our story.
Oh man, you know, thank you for having us as well. Walt, come on man, tell us about that. Tell us about what your experience here.
Look, man, we quit looking busy and started getting busy. We had to do something with the pandemic. And then it wasn't happening too good because we had 6 feet apart. So I say, man, look here, let's do the real. No, well, anyway. And then we get them. And it moved a little bit. And then we kept doing it.
Right.
And then something happened. And then we came to Bob and we said, hey, look here. Then I had a little problem. So Nick took over. He didn't stop. He did not stop. He kept going. Now when he get, boy, look at him. Hey, it's all right. Hey Nick, now tell him what you did since 2020.
Well, the biggest thing that happened was Walt was the whole foundation for us ever doing barbecue. We were a coffee shop, the pandemic hit, and Walt, at the time that Walt made me ribs for the first time, they were the best ribs I ever had in my life. And the craziest part is he made them in an oven. So when he told me during pandemic time, he was like, Nick, we're closed, we should open back up, let's do some barbecue. And I thought it was like a crazy idea because we don't have a kitchen or a coffee shop. But he convinced me, it took a lot of phone calls, but he was very convincing. He was like, let's just reopen with only barbecue, don't worry about the rest of the menu, no coffee. Let's just start doing this. And we sold out. He cooked 10 slabs of ribs on a little grill. I don't know how much chicken, but we did half chickens. We sold out of both, and it was amazing. So we kept going with it. And the reason why he said I took over was I did not want to cook barbecue. I'd never cooked barbecue in my life. I was trying to learn as much as I could from Walt, but I was so busy inside with the coffee, because we eventually brought that back, that I was just like picking up little things, but I was such an amateur. And during the process of him cooking the ribs and the chicken, he added a Louisiana style brisket, which I thought was really good. But when I was doing my research on brisket, everybody was doing Texas style. So you saw these smoke rings, these thicker slices, super juicy and tender. I was like, well, let's do this. And he wasn't against it, but he was more comfortable cooking it the Louisiana way, you know, sliced very thin, no smoke ring. So for me, I just started doing research. And what Walt was talking about, he had some personal things that came up. This was the guy that anytime I called him, he answered his phone. And there was one day where he didn't answer, and I got really nervous. Then the second day he didn't answer, I got even more nervous. By the third day, it felt like 3 months. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. So I had already been doing some research by watching YouTube just to see how to cook. And I tell this to a lot of people. And I feel like a lot of the time people, when I say that, they either don't believe me or they're like, oh, no, he's not really doing the cooking. If he learned from YouTube, it's gotta be Walt doing the cooking. But I felt like we kind of caught lightning in a bottle when I started doing this cooking. And when Walt came back in the picture, well, I'll let him tell how he felt. But
what's your background though? What's your background in, you know, as you grew up? Did you have a lot of food cooking around you? What got you doing that?
So personally, yes, a lot of great cooks in my family, Armenian background and Italian background. So I was always around good home cooked food, very unique. But my only experience in the food business my entire life was I grew up, my parents had a chocolate business and they manufactured their own chocolate. So from a baby to the time I was 16, I was in that chocolate factory every day.
Wow.
But actually restaurants, I had like zero experience. My first cup of coffee I ever had was at that coffee shop that I took over at 38 years old. So it was a lot of learning, but I think that I was just setting up myself my entire life to be involved in running my own business, and I didn't find the right one until the coffee shop came available, and that's a whole nother story.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. You know, I think about what you're talking about as far as growing up around food and having all of those influences. And we're sitting behind us with this beautiful grill here that I just don't know how you get from there to this type of, you know, machinery. Talk a little bit about how the Pitmaster experience or how the grilling and learning how to barbecue came about with you.
So when I was cooking with Walt, and I don't want to take over the whole conversation,
Yeah.
because Walt's a big part of what we do. It's more than him just being the inspiration for us cooking barbecue. When things started to go well, he was my barometer to know if we were doing things the right way or not, because he's been around it his whole life. Walt, when did you start cooking barbecue?
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Let's just go back. Wow.
That part, you just go right back
wow.
at you.
Yeah, okay, so now, and then we moved right forward. So he continued. Consistency, though. It was consistency. And so I say, hey, it's your own recipe. But anything can happen in life.
Right.
I die.
Yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
can't follow. Get your own, cause you know me, I'm just like, oh, yeah, you know, I don't do things too many. So and then I'll let you know. So I came back one day, look at here. Well, yeah, see, and I say, now that right there, now that'll make it. I'm proud now.
You tasted it, and, you know, getting that taste in your mouth, saying,
I'm
oh,
proud.
that's good.
Hey, I'm
good.
proud.
I think you learned something.
Hey, dig yourself. I don't like ribs.
Oh boy, that's a whole nother
Hey,
story.
I don't like ribs.
We used to get in fights over that.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
man, look, they don't even know cold outside, warm outside, hot outside. It was all raining outside.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't
Smoke
like-
still coming from you.
Well, we had vertical grill, we had horizontal grill, we had grill. And then one day, I went somewhere, I think it might have been to a cherry blue, some little city. And got first place. I said,
Wow.
He's talking about
Okay.
Cherry Valley. We did
Oh,
an
okay.
event there.
Entrepreneur.
Y'all get it together, or?
No,
So here's
he
the
did the event. I was just there to assist.
Okay.
And then the little pitmaster was trained now, he was there too. But however, he went there, I said, man, look here. And so we had brisket. Now I know the brisket tastes better than anybody, but anyway, that's another story. However, they gave him the ribs, you get what I'm saying? Uno, number one.
One rib, that's it.
Uno, he first place. I know the one rib. We had these ribs that day, but first place. I said, now that's all right. So I just looked at it, and I told him, I said, man, look, I'm proud of you, bro. And I mean that to this day.
Thank
I'm
you,
proud
brother.
of him right now.
Thank you all.
Hey, cause this is
Thank
my
you,
guy
brother.
right here.
Right on,
Hey,
right.
hey,
Thank you, sir.
and he kept going, and he kept going, and he kept going. Hey, coffee shop turned into a kinda
Rib
like-
coffee shop?
Here's the craziest thing about it, though.
Kinda like-
It's like every time that I was 100% in control of what we were doing, things were good, but they've only been great when Walt's been in the picture. So people always get it confused that the food is because of Walt, you know, and I'm fine with that most of the time because I don't need credit. But when people would come in and be disrespectful to the business,
Right. You're the
because of
business
that,
guy.
I'm like, well, we have to get the story straight because we just went viral the last year so many times. I took an account that had 900 followers when I took it over and built it up to 55,000, but it took 3 years and it was hard work. And I only started doing that. I'm a non-social media guy. I'll be very honest. I don't hate it now, but what it's done to my life, I kind of, sometimes I'm like, is it really worth it? But I was never on social media because I didn't want to be addicted to it. I didn't want to be on my phone looking for likes and comments and all that. But because a friend of mine, Juan Hernandez, he was actually working for a food distributor, and he's like, dude, he's like, you need to get on social media. Start posting on Instagram. And it took some time. But getting back to Walt, every time Walt has stepped away or he and I had, Walt and I, so first thing I want to say, this is very important. Walt and I are like brothers. We have definitely had ups and downs where we didn't always agree. And we were both, he was angry at me, I would be angry at him. And we've separated more than once. We came back together about 1.5 years ago because I just felt like Walt had so much influence on me even doing this. Anytime I would see pictures of him and me together, I'd get really nostalgic. I'm like, man, I miss Walt. Like, forget about what happened. Let's just start working together. So, did I call you or did you call me the last time we got back together? Was it?
I called you. I came by something. Then we had a thing at Winco.
Yeah.
And from Winco to that Cherry Valley.
Yeah.
From Cherry Valley to
Here, Mamelli's.
Yeah, we were here, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This place is what didn't used to be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This place was black. Everything in it was black. The
I
walls,
love the design
everything.
here. I love it.
Then everything just changed. So I was like, man, keep doing this, man. Look, all the thing we gotta do is keep doing it.
Yeah.
So one day, he said, man, look here, I told him about some oxtail. You know,
I love some oxtails,
but
man.
I don't know. So one day he said, man, you can just do this right here. He said, I know you got it. I said, man, me on camera? Oh, no. You know what I'm saying? So he said, man, come on. So, hey, he been the producer, director. Hey, check this out. Look around.
Yeah, beautiful.
He started from a coffee shop. Yeah, 80 cups of coffee. That's where he started at. Now, look where we at right now.
Wow, what is it like being in business? What is it being a business owner and establishing such a beautiful place here? I know you have a place also in Emmett.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how the business aspect of it, just getting started, some of those things you have to go through.
So I relate it to like riding a roller coaster. You know, there's a lot of good times, but there's also a lot of times where you're going down and you got to fix things to go back up. So for us, first off, doing this during COVID was crazy. But when people were really like complaining about how hard it was for them, I feel like we were fortunate on a lot of levels because we had only up to go. The coffee shop that I took over, it was a family business that my parents had started, and I had literally zero involvement in it. The only involvement I had was I came up with the name, and I told them they should name their food after cities, and they did that. It's kind of cool now because it's tied together where we're now the destination for barbecue for a lot of people. But circling back to how we got started, I had zero involvement. It was just set up that way and I was fine with it. But when I took it over, it was a very small family-run business. What we used to do in a day, we now do in a very slow half hour. So the business was not really profitable, but it was an existing business. It's a huge head start. I gotta be very clear about that. It was a huge head start. But what I walked into was just learn how to run a coffee shop. And everybody that worked for me was at least 10 years younger than me or more. They were teaching me how to run the business that I was now the owner of.
Right,
This is before I walk out in the picture. He came in.
Oh, 10 years younger.
There you go.
He's always going
I
to be
think
younger
that's
than
right.
me. Always, he's always going to be younger than me. But so I was having to learn from people that much younger than me that I was writing their checks and they were treating me like I was their employee. It was a little bit of a dynamic that I had to humble myself a lot.
Wow. So learning from that, do you feel like now that you're hiring people, you got, you know, all these different other responsibilities as a business owner, how do you deal with that knowing that you're still learning and you're still probably getting something somewhere else?
So the delegation part of this job has become a big part of what I do now. It used to be where it was just me and I was actually 7 days a week in the restaurant, outside of the restaurant, I was handling things. If someone was making a sandwich, it was usually me. If not, it was someone next to me. If someone was making coffee, it was usually me or someone next to me. We used to have 3 or 4 employees on the floor. Now I come in here and there's 20-something people working, and I'm like, well, is this the way it should be? It's scary because the growth of this business has been great, but managing that many more numbers, you have to be very, very careful. My uncle once said to me when I told him what the rent was in the coffee shop when I took it over, kind of laughed and he said, he's like, you know, it's like this place is like training wheels, right? He's like, you know, you're not really paying a normal rent. And I feel like it gave me the opportunity to make mistakes that maybe other businesses you couldn't, and I could fix them and adjust. But the greatest thing that I found by running this business is I adapt really quick. I'm not afraid of making mistakes, and I make more good decisions than I do bad decisions. So anything that doesn't work out, it usually works itself out with all the other things that have happened. So there's so many variables. So doing this isn't just making good food. It's not just having good employees. It's not just having a good culture and a good experience. It's so much more than that. It's so many levels that there's a gentleman that works for us. He's our general manager, Renato. When he came in the picture, I started to feel like we can really run this business like a restaurant. You know, it's changed things a lot. And then,
so what's the defining moment? You know, what are one of the defining moments that you ran into that kind of said, you know what, I gotta learn from this, you know, in this business? That was something that changed it for you in your mind going forward, or even just learning something?
Well, you know, there's been a lot, and I can't really pinpoint one very specific other than people working for us. So we've always had a great culture. We've always had people that felt blessed to be working for us. But through every level of growth, people have started to feel left out or starting to feel like we outgrew them. So I've had people that have told me, man, I love working for you guys, and this is the best experience I ever have. And then 3 months later, they quit, and they feel like they left unhappy, and it blows my mind, because we still do the same thing. It's just every level of growth has really changed how people feel about working for us, working with us, even our customer base. When we were in Hemet and Walt and I were shifting from coffee to barbecue, and we started eliminating stuff, we had loyal people that came straight up to the counter and says, I'm not coming back anymore because you switched from deli sliced turkey to this new smoked turkey. Or pastrami. We were slicing pastrami on a deli slicer, just stuff you could get from the grocery store, same stuff. And when we started smoking our own, we knew it was an improvement, but people came straight up and said, no, I don't like this. I like the other stuff better, and they don't come in anymore. So we had to deal with those kind of changes. It's a really good question that you asked me, and I wish I had a better answer, but I feel like on a daily basis, there's always a hurdle to overcome that I don't feel like there's just one thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, well, talk about the relationship, as you guys have kind of worked together, and he's using you as a mentor for a lot of different things. And just talk about that relationship, how important you think that is.
Hey, me and him, he like my little brother. So, I look at it like this. We all make mistakes in life. But the only thing we got to do is keep striving. Don't stop. Don't stop because this didn't work, that didn't work. Or even, I got upset today, so what? You've been upset with your brother, sister, you don't been upset with everybody. But anyhow, you got to come back together. See, because it's a reason. It might be higher than you may see today. See, this is a business. It just don't evolve around everything gonna go good. That's not true. In restaurant, everything don't go good. Let's get that point across now. However, dealing with it, being around it, you learn. I learned from him. I learned a lot of things. For instance, telephone. We had a rotary phone. Let's get that together. But
for sure.
Yeah, I can't see a whole lot. He relay everything to me. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. I tell him, hey, throw the bad out. Let's keep striving for the good.
That's right.
Because see, you'll always have confusion. People trying to distract you. But we ain't going for no distraction here at Destination Smokehouse either.
That's right.
Nick, myself, whatever it takes for us to get up there.
Oh, yeah.
As far as him being a partner of mine, I mean, social media might say a whole lot of things. He a partner of mine. It ain't that, I can't go into that detail right.
Right.
So now, but I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to keep being with it. If the good Lord take me home 50, 60 years from now, I'm going to be with him until then.
That's right.
That's right. We finna smoke.
That's right.
And he's a partner of mine. He's going to be a partner of mine. So everybody should just kind of like level down. He's a good man.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? We got to strive. You dig? I want him to be better than me. I don't want him to be like me. I ain't into that liking me stuff.
Right.
Pause. Yeah, anyway. So I want him to be, Nick. I want to have everything Nick.
Well, Nick, I think about what he's saying, and I like to talk a little bit about the food and flavor that you created and brought to Destination Smokehouse. Talk a little bit about some of the changes and things that you've done to bring that flavor out in the food.
So the foundation started with Walter. So the way that we flavored our food in the beginning was based on how he cooked, especially with the pork and the chicken. Once we started getting into brisket, I wanted to pull away from a southern style brisket, which is a lot of different seasonings, sometimes even sugar on beef. I didn't want to do any of that. I was strictly salt and pepper because back then, that's what everybody told you they used. But now you start to learn people are using a bunch of different spices. But for me, it was just salt and pepper. And then one day I saw something, and without going too much detail, because Walt would get mad at me, something that we were very familiar with, was in another rub that I saw someone else using, and I was like, you know what? Why don't we use this? So it became an ingredient that we used, and the brisket just took off.
Wow.
Very specific to us. There's some people out there that know, so it's not a secret, but we don't like to talk about it too much. We want to keep some stuff to ourselves, but that's where it started with the brisket. And then once I started getting a little bit more comfortable experimenting with spices, I did more research, but the pork flavor is very close to the foundation that he started. Like there's some adjustments, you know, sometimes we add more sugar, sometimes we add some other stuff that I don't want to go into. But that foundation really was started with Walt. Where I took over in a different direction was with the brisket. And then when we started doing oxtail 3 years later, which again, he told me, and I thought, oxtail is too expensive.
Yeah.
They would have to sell a small portion for $60 to make any money. I'm like, there's no way. And also too, the way that we cook it now, I wasn't cooking it when we tried it that first time. So we adapted the way that we cook our brisket, the way we cook our pork belly, tied it together, and that's how we did our oxtail
And ribs.
and ribs. Oh, that's another story we got to get
And
into.
pastrami.
But the oxtail, the only way I knew it was good was if you guys have seen our videos, any of them, the viral videos, those were all natural reactions. And when he was doing that, I knew that it was good. I had no foundation to base it off of because out of, you know, my 43 years living on this earth, first oxtail I ever ate was the one that I cooked.
Oh, wow.
Now, I just found out from my mom, my dad passed away in 2018. I just found out from my mom that anytime my dad went to a restaurant and oxtail was on the menu, he would order it. So, and the other thing too, brisket. My dad used to order brisket when I was a kid. I didn't know what brisket was. I didn't know if it was beef, if it was pork. I didn't know if it was a special cut. I didn't know anything about it. So for me, I feel like it's been a really cool part of our story that not only that Walter got us started in a coffee shop, but I really didn't have any desire to ever cook barbecue. I had no background for it. I liked eating, and you know what I would always get? What do kids usually get? They usually get pulled pork or ribs. So like at 30 years old, I was a kid eating barbecue. I didn't know what to order. I didn't know that brisket was a premium cut. I didn't know that, you know, a giant beef rib would be 50 or 60 bucks. I didn't know anything about it. So that to me has been the coolest part, that I found something this late in life that I was actually really good at, that we could actually
Great at.
thank you, brother.
You enjoy it too, right?
I love it.
Do you
I
enjoy it? You know,
love
when you
it.
come in?
So
like
number
that.
one, Keith has asked a couple of questions, and I'm not going to jump too far ahead, but any business, if you don't have a passion for it, you will not be successful. Anybody can work hard. You can work hard and be broke. You know what I mean? You can also run a business, work hard and be broke. But the point I'm trying to get to is you have to have a passion for it. And with food, you have to put love into it, because I've trained a lot of people how to cook. I've given them my recipes. I've given them my cooking styles. I've told them step by step what to do. And the food doesn't turn out the same way. You have to care about every step. You have to taste it at the end. And if it's off, you're like, what do I need to do? Is it the way I cooked it? Is it the seasoning? Did I finish it too long? Did I not finish it enough? Am I holding it wrong? Every step matters. And I love it so much. Only thing I don't love is social media.
When we take a break right now, we'll be right back.
KF&JF Podcast would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Beyond Legacy and Joy Be Love. We can't do it without them. We appreciate their support for everything they do. So thanks for supporting KF&JF Podcast.
Close your eyes. If money was not an issue, what would you dream for your company? What would you want done? What's your vision? What monies would you want? What things or business relationships would you want to connect with? If money wasn't the issue to get there, where would you want to take your company to? So think about those things, and I'm going to give you that time to just really think about it, because we don't dream enough. And we think too small, and we need to think bigger.
Welcome back to KF&JF podcast, guys. You know, we've been having a great conversation with Nick and Walt about this destination Smokehouse and what it takes to run this business. We're back. So, Walt, talk a little bit about these grills. How did you guys come up with something this big, and did you have any part in that, or did you want it to be small?
I wanted to be huge. But anyway, we had a little guy down there in Hemet, and he made a little one. He made a vertical and a horizontal. So we had a little box one too. So that's how I got started. And then we went from them boxes to the vertical and the horizontal to a big red, which is out back. Mm-hmm. So when we got big red, we say, well, we come down here, we need another. But we needed another one because at some time something went down, but we got another one. So we had two. And that's 1,100, right?
Which one, the new one?
No, the red,
big red's 1,000.
1,000.
And the green one, the military smoker's in 1,100.
And then black one?
That was like a 200, 300. That was the vertical one.
No,
right?
I'm talking about the one sitting in the
that one. That one's about a 650.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we elevated. But anyway, we got to smoke. Boy, look at here. We smoked plenty of brisket. So in that doing so, that's how we came to this place here. We came down here, we set up a pop tent outside. Wow. And so we didn't ever know, sooner or later this would be the place we would call destination. Wow. But it was an idea, but it hadn't happened.
Well, actually, maybe we could have Nick talk a little bit about that. How did you come up to this place?
Well, I do want to just touch on one thing. The smoker that we first had built kind of looked like this, but it was about as big as this door. And we paid like $2,000 for it. And when Walt saw it, he was like, what the heck did you do? He's like, this is like only a little bit bigger than the ones we just spent $150 on. He was expecting something as big as this, and I kind of wanted something like that. Yeah. But these smokers, they're not as inexpensive as you think. The guy that built them for us, Bobby Titus, he actually found us and reached out to me on social media and told me he's a welder and he wanted to start building smokers. He's built some for his friends, but he's never done it for a business. So he was the one that built them for us. But the price point for smokers is so crazy. The first person I reached out to, the first legitimate builder, wanted 16 grand. It was going to take 6 months. And I'm like, I don't have $16,000 and I can't wait 6 months. So when Bobby came up, 2,000 was still a lot of money for us. It's a lot of money now. Don't get it twisted.
At all.
Yeah. But it just didn't seem like there wasn't enough bang for your buck. But we cooked on it. We went to that vertical that he talked about very soon after that. Within like another 2 months, in a 3-month period, we got 3 smokers from it. And we got Big Red, the 1,000-gallon. That just took it to another level. And we just kind of stayed like that for a while because it was a lot to grow into. Wow. But as far as the transition of coming down here, the previous owner of this business was looking for either a partner or someone to buy the business. And I said, hey, you know what? Can we do a pop-up out of here just to see if we can actually be viable out of here? Because I had done business in other locations and saw the success of our food in other cities. But this is a huge space. Our original location is about the size of this small room over here to the right. It's 1,500 square feet. This is 6,500. Wow. So I didn't think we'd be able to fill it. And then one Saturday we're out here and Walt's like, Nick, come here, I want you to meet somebody. And some guy was, wanted to talk about the food. He was really happy. But I have video of it and I look back at it like a week later. I'm like, man, the place is full. And then we were only down here as a pop-up. So I'm like, I think we can do this. And then the next level of it, Senor Viral over here, when he went viral and Emmett started to get so busy, I was like, okay, we're good. We can make this happen. So it's a combination of a lot of things that gave us confidence to come down here, but it still is a lot to overcome. There's a lot of space here. So even when we're busy, we still sometimes get the same amount of people through these doors that we used to get in Emmett. It hasn't, it's a 4-time bigger place. We haven't seen 4 times the amount of people through here. It's that Hemet was so small that we had to find something else. And this just happened to work out. Walt will tell you this, and this is actually very important to our story. Walt and I had talked about becoming more partners early on, but because of things that happened, it didn't work out. And I thought I needed a partner that actually had money. So I would be the food side, and then the partner would be the one providing the space, making sure all that happened, because it's expensive, Just to be, frank, because this is a business podcast, Most time you go into a business, you're looking a minimum of $100,000 to open it up. I didn't have that. I was running a coffee shop. I could barely afford these new grills. So I thought I needed a partner to make it happen. And there was 3 or 4 serious opportunities that we had. And every single one didn't work out. What I found out was that the type of personality that I had wasn't suited for that type of a partner. It was more suited for us to eventually become partners. And that's why Walter became a partner in this business
Good relationship
about a year ago. But also having true value, they didn't have to be money. Because I wasn't bringing in money as a partner. I was bringing in a business idea, a concept of cooking, and a culture that we created. And he was a big part of that. So the fact that he and I eventually became partners makes the most sense. And I owe him so much just for not just giving me the start. That's like a misdemeanor, as Walt would say. That's a small part of it.
Very small.
It's every other level of us growing together. And when we were apart, so that roller coaster thing I mentioned, we were like this when we started doing barbecue. When he and I decided we were going to do our own thing, the business went like this. So it kind of hit like this level where it was true up and down. When we got back in, he got back in the picture, we started working together. It was slow, but once it started to hit, this came back, and we started just shooting straight up again. So now we're at a place where I think we have a lot of room to grow. We have a reason why this was so important, us doing this podcast, is people need to understand what Walter and I mean to each other and what we mean to the business. A lot of the time, my contribution gets overlooked because Walt's so engaging and he's got so much experience working with food. My experience is 4 years. His is, I'm not going to say, because he's younger than me. But it's a lot more than 4 years. It's a lot more than 4 years. So it's just natural for me to think that, this is Walt's business and I'm just some guy writing the checks. And it's the exact opposite of that. Walter and I are a team. This place would not have grown without either one of us. And I give him so much credit for being the person that he is to help me stay focused, to stay positive, because this business, they will beat you up.
Oh yeah.
And people that love you one day, doesn't take much. You don't even have to do anything wrong. They're going to treat you like you're the villain. So having him around to keep me focused on positivity and what we're doing right, I can't tell you how many times it's like, Nick, hey, what are you talking about? He's like, you see what's going on here? And I'll let him get into the specifics because that's not really my part of the story, but to this day he does it. Every single day. We had
you got a whole lot of things that come up, right? Yeah. Okay, and then you got a whole lot of people. They come in and they say different things.
Taste, all these different.
They say Look, they say all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So that ain't something we got to focus on. Our job is food.
Right.
We want the best. I want to smile. When I walk out here, I want to see people smiling.
Right.
I want to see people happy. If I can't see that happiness, that means the food ain't kicking right. And then I'm gonna approach it, and because I gotta fix it.
Right.
But right now, as I tell Nick, it ain't broke. Don't be trying to fix it. But however, we move right along. But it's a thing, if you keep going, you keep striving, which you do, hey man, look, we get over that. Because I'm a positive person. I'm not finna come in here negative. I'm not finna be negative. And I want him to be happy. Because that negativity do something to your spirit.
Right.
And if your spirit get down, then you start thinking, and your thinking get off. But we can't afford that right now.
Well, that's a big part of any business, is making sure you're staying positive, making sure you're keeping yourself hopeful for what you want to do in your business. Because if you're down, everybody else is going to pick up on that. And I like to really drive right into this part too, because that brings family in. And I'd like you to talk a little bit, Nick, about family. How does that work? Part of the family working with you in the business, or are you running this, in a different way? So talk a little bit about family.
So when I took over the coffee shop, my father had just passed away, and my brother had moved back to London. So everybody that was involved with the business is gone except for my mom. And before Walter was that positive guiding light, it was my mom, because she knew what the business was doing before I took it over. So for me, I wanted to see success right away. And when it was just slow and gradual, I didn't see it. And she was my cheerleader every day. Nick, no, I know what this business used to do. You're doing great. Just keep it up. So my mom was there with me every day. My mom, I won't say her age, but she's, I'm 44, so do the math. She's not, she wasn't a kid. And she was there every day with me, 7 days a week. It was just me and her and 1 or 2 other employees. So she was very strong. She still is. She's not here today. She's out of town right now on a nice vacation, but you know, she deserved it. She earned it. Yeah,
that's what she should.
But it was a huge part of it. And then even the other people involved from the beginning, my brother, my wife at the time, she was the driving force. The reason why it was a coffee shop, she had worked for a very well-known coffee company for 10 years, became a manager within 5, so that's why it was a coffee shop. We brought in deli-style sandwiches, and thankfully we had it, because if we didn't, I don't know if I would have ever done ribs. I don't know if we would have ever done any barbecue. If it was just a straight coffee shop, Walt might have never even come in. And we have a beautiful young lady over here off camera. That's Walter's wife. They came in on a Sunday in church clothes, dressed to the nines, and I saw them talking to my mom over on the corner table, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, my mom likes to talk to people. I didn't think much of it. The next Monday, the day after, I get there at 6. He's already there, outside the gate, waiting for me to open up. I'm like, this guy looks kind of familiar. He was in the brown suit, brown hat, but he had a chef's coat on. And he was there before me. I was like, you know what? I haven't even said anything to my mom. I was like, hey, he introduced himself, told me his name was Walt. I'm like, listen, I don't really know too much about what my mom talked about. Give me a day, and we'll talk. I called my mom. She's like, oh, no, he's great. He's from New Orleans. He told us he can cook gumbo for us. He just wants to help us out. So I called him. He came back in the next day. And for about 3 months, he showed me so much. Like, I had never seen anybody do as much. We used to have 3 or 4 people doing the work that he would do in 8 hours. He would get it done in 3 and then do more. And it wasn't that how much work he did, is that he knew so much on how to be organized to run it like a real restaurant. We were kind of floundering between what a coffee shop is and trying to have a deli there. So he was like, wow, it means so much. I can't really say it enough. So family, I consider him like family. He's a big part of it. As far as moving forward, growth of this kind of business, I'm not against family working in a business. I hate the narrative where people say family can't work together. But to work together, everybody has to have that same passion, that same vision, that same goal. If you're just there to put in some hours to help out your family, you're not going to grow. I've seen it too many times, and it doesn't mean you won't have a good business, but what we both wanted out of this, Walter first said, let's just do regional. We maybe thought national attention was something that could come, but it wasn't our goal. We just wanted more people to come to the restaurant. So,
oh, you're getting the national attention all the time. You look on social media and you look out there, you guys are, you know, Destination Smokehouse is the destination for barbecue and all sorts of other food that you're providing. Talk a little bit about some of the dishes you do offer.
So, the most important thing that I like to get across is that we started with brisket. Brisket is what put us on the map. The sandwich that put us on the map was called a brisket. It's called a brisket and cheddar.
I love it.
Something about it, almost everybody who tastes it, doesn't matter if they're barbecue fans or not, they love it. And it was an accidental sandwich. I was trying really hard to make a brisket sandwich on Texas toast. And no matter what I put on it, it just wasn't hitting. And I tried every cheese, I would put onions on it, pickles, this, that, and the third. It just didn't work. A young lady who worked for us at the time, she was actually one of our managers, her name's Joanna. One day I called in and said, hey, can you make me a brisket, egg, and cheese sandwich? My mom's gonna come and pick it up. Well, my mom dropped it off, and I saw yellow cheese in there. I'm like, oh man, what was she thinking? Like, Texas purists are gonna call us like nuts, like, yellow cheese on brisket, what the heck is this? And it was so good.
Yeah,
and it just, so from there on it just went. But we were a sandwich shop, so we stayed with sandwiches. Walt, what did I used to say about ribs? Can you say it on camera?
No, you can't say it on camera. So we're going to keep this a family matter, like a family matter, you know what I mean? But however, the whole thing of ribs, you didn't want to hear about the ribs.
You didn't want to hear about the ribs?
That's on my tail.
Well, tell us about them. Tell us about the ribs. I want to hear about
Hey,
it.
look here,
Everybody want to hear about it.
I don't think it is, you know, I cook ribs all kind of ways, but came to smoke. So Nick, you smoking these ribs, boy. Hey, they getting tender. I said, now you got something going. Cause me, I'm gonna let people know out there, I don't eat pork. But I can touch some meat, I can look at some meat, and tell you what texture the meat is. So that part right there,
Oh, that's the craziest part.
Yeah,
the best ribs I
right.
ever had came from a non-pork eater. It just blew my mind. I'm like, to be a good chef, you need to taste your food. And the fact that he didn't have to taste it, it blew my mind. So
That's experience.
Sorry to cut you off, brother,
No.
but I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
It still blows my mind.
Hey, but anyway, he kept on going, he poking at it, poking at it. One day he put the poke in there. Boy, the poke down right. Boy, I say, now we got something. See, that give me a feeling like on the inside. Yeah, I was just went over here, like, you know, I've been in a lot of restaurants in my life. I've been through it. I ain't gonna tell you. But if people just come there, like you say, for a check. They don't care nothing about how the food is or how it tastes. They just come there, get a check, they slap something together, put it in there, serve it to some people, and that's it. Or it come out of a bag. Well, I ain't into all that. I work, and he helped me out, boy, look. So he came and put, oh yeah, working with something. You know what I'm saying? I said, oh, I can do this. So it ain't like mine, it ain't like Bill's, it ain't like this other person. You gotta have an original. And that's what we's working on at Destination Smokehouse is. Now Walter's original, Nick's original. Then, you know, how I can sit back and eat. You know what I mean? Real good life. And the oxtail.
Yeah.
I say tenderness. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I ain't playing with it. But however, tell me about that tenderness.
So that was something that came about when we started cooking the brisket. So I love that Walt is telling our whole story, but it's not that it's my flavor. I am behind the choices that I've made, but those choices came from counseling with him. Other people too. I don't want to get that lost. There's been so many people along the way that I have gone to. I'm the type of person that I feel pretty strong about my opinions, and I will ask people I respect what they think. And if they don't agree with me, they have to have a good reason why they're telling what they're telling. If it doesn't make sense, then I move on to someone else. And if I have 2 or 3 people that I respect saying, you know what, if you have something, then I go with it. Sometimes I don't need that. But him, he's been instrumental in so many ways with that. So I won't give away another secret, but I asked him not too long ago, maybe about a year ago, one of the techniques we use to keep our brisket super tender for our sandwiches was something that he learned from his mom when he was a kid. Again, I'm not going to give the secrets, but there's been so many levels. Even the way we hold our meat in the restaurant, when we were doing sandwiches, it was because of him. And the way that he said we should do it, I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Because I thought that was what you did at like a very inexpensive, low-quality buffet, the way he was telling me to hold the food, but it ended up being like a gold mine. And that's why I say, it's about both of us. It's not about me. It's not even just about both of us. There's been so many people that have been part of this business that have had an influence on the direction we've gone in. But the biggest, by far, is this gentleman right here. And
I'd like to ask you, you know, Walt, where are you from and all that? Talk about how you got some of this stuff as far as your background. And, you know, you say you're from the South. Does that play a big part in what you're bringing here?
I had a bunch of, let me straighten this up. Okay, y'all want to know something, a little background. My dad is living right now, he's probably be 140 something, maybe. So, background, I had brothers, a bunch of them. I didn't have a few, I had a bunch. So, you know, everybody had some kind of job in our family. So one had barbecue joint, the other was car. My mama was short like me, but boy, she could throw down like a fat rat in a cheese factory, you know what I mean? I wanted to learn everything, you know, but the food is delicious. Then you go to different people's places, sweet potato, right? Oxtails, they kick it right now. So I wanted to learn. So over the years, I just kept it. Then one day, I just happened to go to a school, learn a little bit about culinary. Took me from one state to another state. All the states in the United States, at least 15 times I've been there. Wow. So any kind of restaurant that's in the United States, I'll probably cook that. So, and all of this here, I want to learn, how can I get the best meal, the best everything. So I went to all the southern states. You got one state do vinegar. You got another state, they do sweet. Then you got like Memphis. You got Arkansas, you got Texas. See, once you put all these flavors together, and then you got destination. Yep. See, that's another flavor. Yeah. And so when I be tasting, I don't be tasting.
When Nick put that taste on it, that was it. Hey, when he put that flavor on it, that was it.
See, I don't be tasting for what I had before. I want something new, but it gotta be 100. Now I don't want y'all to know if it ain't 100, I ain't gonna put mine on it. Now let me sit back down. But however, yeah, and that's how it came, man. Just a whole bunch of steaks, cookies. You know, some people like doing a lot of things. I like eating.
That's for sure. You know, and they talk about that, man. You know, you have so much you brought to this beautiful place, man, that we're in today. I'd just like to know, as a business owner, what's some of the things you see in the future coming up? What are some of the things that you see, like, you know what, we're still in here, man. We're out here in Marietta. You're not on this part of the job. You're going up the hill. So what are some of the things you see in the future for this business?
Walt and I talk about this a lot. There's a few directions we can go in, and we want to be very calculated on how we do it, because focus has to be there for anything we do. So I feel like what we're doing in Hemet is a great model for us to franchise in the future. I feel like Marietta is our flagship location where we can do 100% craft barbecue and also add other elements that we haven't really discussed yet publicly, because we don't want to have too many people anticipating for it and then it's not here yet. But also the other side of it too, Walter's personality is not fake, it's who he is, and people love him when he's on camera. So when I look at other pages or other people who have these businesses with 30, 40, 50, 100 restaurants, they don't have 300,000 followers. We do. So I think Walter and I right now are at the point of how do we expand the restaurant business, and then what's the other side of it. So we're talking about getting into shipping our food soon. We think the franchising thing is really a great opportunity. It's way easier to repeat what we're doing in Hemet than it is here. We know that we're going to have to cook from a central location in a hub for these franchises, but there's no way we can have 20 cooks in 20 locations. The food's going to be different. My guys are out back. Butcher Bill, he's amazing. He's the best apprentice I've ever had. I've worked with a few. Actually, to be honest, Walt was the pitmaster apprenticing all of our people in Hemet, because I was so, because of him, I was so afraid of teaching people techniques that I had come up with by accident that I didn't want them to learn them. So I was like, Walt, do me a favor, can you train these guys?
What was you afraid of?
People knowing how I finished the brisket, knowing everything about the seasonings, knowing about how we, when we would wrap, what we would do after we would wrap. I didn't want anybody to know that, because I knew what we were doing was different. So Walt actually trained every apprentice in Hemet. Now, after the fact, when they got a little bit more experience, there was a couple of guys that I worked closer with that I gave them a lot of game, but not everything. And even still, and this is with all due respect to anybody who's ever worked with us or who is currently working for us now. And actually, I don't even like to say that. I want everybody to feel like they're a part of this business. I don't like to think people are working for us. Please, I don't want to correct myself on that.
Well, you have a team here. You have a team. You have a big team of people working.
It's a team. Gentleman that just walked up to register, that's Renato. He's been a huge part of it. I met him working in another restaurant that I was consulting for. And he said to me when we were working one day, he's like, Nick, I just want to tell you, what you're doing out of this place is really special. And I think you're bigger than this, and you need to have more of your own locations. And I was like, you know what? I wasn't really thinking about it like that at the time, because that place we were at, I was looking to form a real partnership there and grow with that company. But it just made more sense for us. No, everything's still rolling.
Yeah.
Everything's still rolling.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he was also another person that said, what you're doing here, you need to have more of these locations. And when we started to go in that direction, he and I really started to grow in Hemet to where we felt like what we were doing was repeatable. In Hemet, it was always like, we're maxed out, we're selling out every day, we don't have enough storage, so we're getting 5 deliveries a week, and even at that, we're still selling out. So I didn't see the vision, because I needed to see it somewhere else. When I was in that other kitchen I consulted for, my food was going out, and the place was busy. And I was like, wow. And people, and this is the other thing too, right? This is something that Walter and I are very proud of, and it's a sign that we want to keep going every single day. We don't want to have one day where this isn't the case. People come up to us. In the food business, you want to talk to everybody at the tables. You want to make sure they're happy. I went from going up to every table, asking people how was everything, to just saying hello, because the response is so overwhelming. we will get into 2-minute, 5-minute, sometimes 10-minute conversations about specifics of why people like our food. And when it was happening there, and this was in Temecula, a very, very busy location, Old Town Temecula, where you don't even really have to do anything to get busy because there's so many people there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So when it was busy and people were saying how much they loved our food, I'm like, you know what, Reynato's on to something. This food does connect, and we can do it anywhere.
It does. This is one of those things when I first tasted the brisket. So what I'd like you to do now is just tell people how to get a hold of you. What are some of the things they need to know that we haven't discussed here right now about your business and, you know, your website and all of the different things that you have going for Destination Smokehouse?
Well, a big part of what we're doing now is focusing on Murrieta because of this gentleman right here. We have people that are coming from all over, and if they're coming from all over, they have to get a perfect experience when they come here. So we're focused really a lot on here. So Murrieta, it's our flagship location. If you guys are watching this and it's your first time hearing about us, and you see that we have a place in Hemet, it's wonderful. But I really recommend everybody coming down to Murrieta. There's so much more to offer here. It's a bigger space. Even when we're busy, there's plenty of room to sit. It's really great. We have all of our sides. We can cook all of our meats here. So that's what I want to get across first. Murrieta is our flagship. Please come here. Oh, of course, go to Hemet. We're also working on something else that's a little bit under the radar right now, but we're looking at a very small restaurant that's a breakfast restaurant. It's only open from 6 to 2. We should be moving on that in about a month or 2. That's going to be another way for Walter and I to implement everything we've done here with breakfast, with table service. And this is a counter service location, so when people come in, that's another thing I want to get across is we sell platters, we sell sandwiches, you can build your own platters, you can buy any sandwich you want, but you're going to walk in, you're going to see a line, you're going to walk up to a register, you're going to order and then sit down, and that's the experience here. We still feel like we need to be here to make sure that that is easy for people when they come in, that they know what the experience is. Moving forward, Walt and I have plans like I discussed earlier, but they're not really concrete yet. We do know that there's so much exposure we've gotten from everybody that just loves Walt, loves the oxtail, that I think that the shipping thing I mentioned, that's something, the franchising, and we don't know. We met someone who's got some connections in LA who wants to do something with us. It's more of a produced type of a show, with our barbecue being a part of it. Walter, of course, being a major part of it, because anybody that meets Walt, doesn't matter if they're a celebrity or what, they feel like they're talking to someone who's just like...
He's got everything that you've said. Yeah, he's good. He's a good person from just being right next to him. I can see the spirit that he has and everything, man. You know, and this is a great place to come and have barbecue. What's the phone number and the email address?
So the easiest way to get a hold of us is to go to our Instagram. That's where I direct everybody. That's where all the information is. I don't want to give out a number, because sometimes our number's busy and we don't answer it. If you really need to contact us, message us on our Instagram account. It's Destination Smokehouse. I answer that's the other thing too. I'm still running that page. So I answer the comments, I answer the messages. People have any questions, please go there. We also have a really nice following on our YouTube account. Walt, every time he goes viral, we have about 100,000 subscribers on there, which is huge. I grew up watching YouTube, and the fact that we're on it, mostly Walt, but the fact that Destination is on it, no, it really is. It is Walt. I mean, the craziest thing about it is there's probably 100 videos of me on there, and people still wonder who I am. You know what I mean?
Not no more. No more. They know who you are now.
A little bit.
And I'd like to ask you this: what do you? This is your first time doing the podcast and everything like that. What do you think? Will you be willing to do more going forward?
Well, first of all, I thought Good Morning America was here when I got here. You guys have a professional setup, so we're really pleased to be on here. Walt and I have been wanting to get our story out there, our accurate story, for a while, because we haven't really said it, but we've had some really hateful comments, 10 to 20 a day, sometimes more. No, I'm just saying, it's just what it is.
Well, so, you know, that's the story about business, man. And people have misconceptions and all of that, you know, and we're just willing to make sure that they know the truth. You know, because this Destination Smokehouse is a loving relationship that you guys have had. You know, Nick as the owner, you know, you built such a beautiful place. You've got so many people coming to taste your food, and it's just great. And we're happy here at KF&JF Podcast that you took the time out of your busy day with Walt, you know, to be able to share the story, man. And you know, you got any last words for us there, Walt? Tell us,
man,
sing us out, man.
Hey, only thing I gotta tell y'all, come on down here in the southern part of Marietta, California. It's a smokehouse destination, eatery. We quit looking busy, we get busy. Tenderness. That's what we talking about down here. The home of the oxtail, Black Diamond. That's what.
Right on, Nick.
Thank you, Keith. It's a
Thank
pleasure,
you,
brother.
man.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, man.
Hey,
I
man,
appreciate it.
all
You
that
know.
we got to do now is start eating. This ain't no.
No.
I'm just playing. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
See
you.
you next time.